If you tuned into last night's vice presidential debate hoping for an interruption-free, direct answer alternative to last week's presidential debate, you were sorely disappointed. The Tim Kaine-Mike Pence matchup turned out to be 90 minutes of too many insults, accusations, and steamrolling over moderator Elaine Quijano.
All right, we are moving on now.
Senator, if your son or my son handled classified information the way Hillary Clinton did, they'd be court-martialed.
That is absolutely false, and you know that.
Absolutely
and you know
true.
that, Governor.
It's absolutely true.
Because the
Gentlemen,
FBI did an investigation.
Gentlemen.
And they concluded that there was
Senator?
no reason.
It's like they were trying to save us time by doing all their talking at once. And if you could hear the points each man was making, you know it was all about their running mates.
When Donald Trump says women should be punished, or Mexicans are rapists and criminals,
I'm telling
or
you.
John McCain's not a hero, he is showing you who he is.
Senator, you whipped out that Mexican thing again. Look.
Can you defend it?
The campaign of Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine has been an avalanche of insults.
But the thought of Donald Trump as commander-in-chief scares us to death.
If Donald Trump had said all the things that you said he said, in the way you said he said them, he still wouldn't have a fraction of the insults that Hillary Clinton leveled when she said that half of our supporters were a basket of deplorables.
So if you missed the debate, it was basically 89 more minutes of that. So now that you're caught up, could anyone really be called a winner after this one? Most of the pundits are calling it for Pence, as did a CNN instant poll, which found 48% of voters who watched thought Pence came out on top compared with 42% for Kaine. And more importantly, did it move the needle at the top of the ticket? Joining me now are Leah Wright-Rigueur, an assistant professor at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Leah, it's good to see you again. Jack Sullivan, senior investigative reporter for Commonwealth Magazine. Hey, Jack. So, Leah, as we debate whether Kaine interrupted too much and whether Pence defended his man too little, did anything that happened last night help the man or woman at the top of the ticket?
So I think I'm going to push against the grain, right? All of the pundits have been saying that Mike Pence has won the debate, in terms of style, presentation. But, I think if we think about the long game, the sound bites that came out of the vice presidential campaign actually help Hillary Clinton quite a bit. There's the clip that we just saw about the whip out that Mexican thing. But, in order to argue that Mike Pence won this whole thing, you have to completely suspend, your belief in reality. He essentially, lied through about a good 3/4 of the entire debate. And he lied about things that are easily accessible on television, on radio, in print. It's an attack ad waiting to happen.
I assume when you say lie, you're talking about when he was there, say, can you do it, Kaine? Well, actually, we have part of this. Kaine throughout the night says, can you defend this on the part of Donald Trump? Here's a little piece of that.
6 times tonight, I have said to Governor Pence, I can't imagine how you can defend your running mate's position on one issue after the next. And in all 6 cases, he's refused to defend his running mate's.
No, don't put words in my mouth.
All right.
If he's going to do that, you got to give him time.
And yet, he is asking everybody to vote for somebody that he cannot defend.
So you're saying that helped? Is that your contention? Your contention is that helps Hillary Clinton, yes?
So it helps because it is a sound bite. It is literally made for ads, and we've already seen it. In fact, immediately after, we saw that there was a pickup in the number of attack ads that happened, that the Clinton campaign is levying.
So Clinton gets a bump
Trump.
according to her. Does anybody get a bump according to you?
I tend to agree with what Leah is saying, that in the long run, I think it's going to shake out to help the Democratic ticket. But I also have to say that coming out of it, I don't think Kaine covered himself in any glory. I mean, he came across to me as a chihuahua on Red Bull. He just couldn't stop himself, especially at the beginning. He dumped all of his one-liners right at, within the first 3 questions.
And then said them again and again and again and again.
But I think Leah makes a really good point that in hindsight, when you take a look at what Pence has said, the way he denied comments that both he and Trump have made on the record, and there's the video to prove it.
Yeah, but do you think people are sitting at home, you two, like doing checking PolitiFact at the same
But
as
they
they're
will.
watching the debate?
Somebody's going to grab that tape and they're going to be running it. They're going to have a split screen of Trump saying one thing and then Pence going, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Well, let me challenge both of you. Here's a little bit of Mike Pence on one of those issues that's pretty hard to defend. Here's Pence.
His tax returns, that showed he went through a very difficult time, but he used the tax code just the way it's supposed to be used, and he did it brilliantly.
There's a guy, whether the answer sells or not, I mean, we still don't know what way this tax thing is going to play, or the failure to pay taxes is going to play. Whether it works or not, there's a calm measured, deliberative guy. And I'll quote somebody who's known, Brian McGrory, editor of the Globe, is on our radio show today. One of the things he says is it's possible, I buy into this, it's possible people who want to vote for Trump but say, oh my, I just too unhinged, if he's going to pick those kind of stable, calm people, then maybe we can trust him because he's going to be surrounded by people like Mike Pence. Both of you are shaking your heads like, I don't think so. No?
No, I think that, you know, that's one person that he's picked, and I think.
Well, it's arguably the most important person
right,
he's
but
going
the
to pick.
base is going to look at it and say, yes, that's the guy. But then everybody else will look at, you know, these other people, like the Globe had that story about his former CEO who had, you know, the kleptomania problem, and these other people that he's hired in the past, and they're going to look at these kinds of people.
Yeah, but this is the high profile. I mean, the vast majority of people, with all due respect, are not memorizing what somebody did who was a staff person. That's the guy.
But
they know tonight.
he's also an ideologue, and that isn't necessarily going to move the needle with the undecideds or with the progressives.
You know, one of the things that was, you know, the other thing is Donald Trump's the oldest, if he's president, oldest guy ever to be president. Hillary Clinton would be second. So you'd think that people would view this through the prism of, can I see that man or that man as president of the United States? I've heard virtually no commentary on that. Did anybody project that last night? Can you see them if their boss doesn't make it through 4 years being the president?
So this is, I think, one of the things that may have worked to Mike Pence's advantage in some way, shape, or form, which is that they avoided a number of the subjects in which he is, you know, an ideologue, right? They didn't
Like the
necessarily,
LGBT law thing that
right?
never
So
came
the
up.
things that define, that sent him up as kind of part of a hard right, that only kind of trend amongst the base, really didn't come out to play in the debate. And so, in kind of, you know, projecting this idea of, hey, I'm calm, I'm, you know, serene, even as I'm saying these things that are not rooted in truth, you know, 3/4 of the time, I think that does work to his advantage, and Kaine could have pushed much harder on these issues.
Let me try one more thing here. It seems to me, while I'm watching the thing, I sort of tend to agree with you. You know, he couldn't defend anything. And then as I'm watching, I'm saying to myself, well, since he knew he couldn't defend anything, unlike taking the bait, like his boss, the head of the ticket, did every time Hillary Clinton said anything, he basically came in saying, I can't defend him on this thing. I'm just going to keep plowing straight ahead. You don't think that was effective at all?
I think it was effective for him for 4 years down the line. I don't know
When he
that
runs for president.
When he runs for president,
If
I don't
Hillary
know
Clinton
that,
is running for re-election. Is
and
that what
I
it
think
is?
that's the way he's looking at it.
So do you think, based on, neither of you seem to be saying, it seemed like a tortured thing, well, maybe it helped a little bit. You don't think it was a major game changer at all, correct?
No, one thing I will say is that at certain points during the vice presidential debate, right, it seemed like the Clinton campaign or team was gearing up to get under Donald Trump's skin, right? So there were several moments where Donald Trump is live tweeting the event, and is saying things that directly contradict what Mike Pence is saying. And this leads up into the
Sunday
debate
night.
at the Sunday
and is
night.
it all, we only have 15 seconds. Is it all about Sunday night for Trump? Obviously, he got crushed in that first debate. He lost the lead switch by 7 points or something like that. Is it all about Sunday night for Donald Trump, his last best chance?
I mean, if you want to call it that.
How about it?
Yeah, well, he's going to a very quickly arranged town hall pre-debate up in New Hampshire, and I think that he is worried about it. He's looking to get some practice in.
Fair enough, Leah. Nice to see you.
Always good to be here.
Pleasure. Jack, you as well.
Thank
nice
you.
to see you both.